about this? You see this? This is in the paper today. A Democratic congressman from Michigan, John Dingell, wants to add an additional 50-cent tax on every gallon of gas. How many think that'll reduce the demand for gas? How many think it'll reduce our demand for morons in Congress? Yeah.
Jay Leno, the chin that became an American icon. The workaholic who performed more than 300 stand-up shows a year even while hosting The Tonight Show. The car collector with more than 180 vehicles worth over $100 million has made generations laugh for more than 5 decades. At 75, he stands as the most prolific comedian in television history. But this is not a story about easy laughs or simple success. This is shocking. This is devastating. This is heartbreaking. This is a story about a boy whose mother told him he'd never amount to anything. About a comedian who clawed his way to the top of late-night television, only to be pushed out twice. About a man who suffered a tragic garage fire in November 2022 that left him with third-degree burns across his face and hands. About a legend who, just months later, was thrown from a vintage motorcycle, breaking ribs and a collarbone at 72 years old. The world sees the jokes, the cars, the famous chin, but behind that relentless work ethic lies a story not glamorous, but brutal. Not about fortune, but about fighting to prove everyone wrong over and over again, even when your own body tries to stop you. If Jay Leno has ever made you laugh until your sides hurt, hit like as tribute to his unbreakable spirit and legendary dedication to comedy. This is the story of how a dyslexic kid from New Rochelle, New York became the king of late night, lost everything twice, nearly died in flames, and still refused to quit, because quitting was never in his vocabulary. April 28, 1950. New Rochelle, New York. James Douglas Muir Leno entered the world, but the celebration would be overshadowed by struggle. His father, Angelo Leno, was an insurance salesman. His mother, Catherine Muir, a homemaker of Scottish descent, who ruled the household with an iron will and sharp tongue. The beginning was not glamorous, but marked by constant criticism. Jay struggled in school. Severely dyslexic, he couldn't read like the other children. Teachers called him lazy, stupid. His mother, instead of offering comfort, told him he'd never amount to anything. Those words burned into his soul. He's never forgotten them. What few people know is that Jay's entire career has been driven by 5 words. I'll show you you're wrong. He found escape in comedy, in making people laugh. In The Three Stooges, Jerry Lewis, Johnny Carson, men who proved that humor could be a career, not just a defense mechanism. At Andover High School in Massachusetts, where the family moved when Jay was young, he was the class clown, not because he was confident, but because it was the only thing he was good at. He got into fights, failed classes. His guidance counselor told him college was unrealistic. But Jay Leno applied to Emerson College in Boston anyway. He was rejected. He applied again, rejected again. He applied a third time, and was finally admitted in 1969 on academic probation. It is heartbreaking when the world tells you that you're not good enough. But Jay didn't listen. He started performing stand-up at comedy clubs in Boston, earning $10 a night, sometimes less, often nothing. He worked odd jobs at a McDonald's, at a car dealership, anywhere that would pay him enough to survive. His mother's voice echoed in his head, "You'll never amount to anything," and he worked harder. 1973. Jay Leno, 23, moved to Los Angeles with $300 in his pocket and a used car that barely ran. He performed anywhere that had a stage. Comedy clubs, strip clubs, college campuses. For years, he made less than $15,000 annually. He lived in a tiny apartment, ate fast food, saved every penny. But he refined his craft. Clean comedy, observational humor, relatable material about everyday life. Then came March 2, 1977. The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. Jay Leno made his first appearance on the most prestigious platform in comedy. Johnny Carson, the man Jay had worshipped since childhood, laughed at his jokes and invited him back. Over the next 15 years, Jay became Carson's most frequent guest host, appearing more than any other comedian. He earned $3,000 per appearance, more money than he'd ever seen. But Jay didn't slow down. He performed 300 stand-up shows per year, every weekend, every city, every stage. While other comedians waited for TV roles, Jay worked clubs in Milwaukee, Cleveland, Phoenix, anywhere people would pay to laugh. By 1987, he was earning $50,000 per Tonight Show guest hosting appearance. By 1990, over $100,000. Then came May 25, 1992. Johnny Carson retired. The throne of late-night television was empty. Jay Leno and David Letterman both wanted it. NBC chose Jay. Letterman went to CBS, and the late-night wars began. Jay's first year was brutal. The ratings were terrible. Critics destroyed him. Letterman was winning. NBC executives considered replacing Jay with Letterman in 1994. But Jay fought back. He booked better guests, rewrote monologues, worked 18-hour days, and slowly, the ratings climbed. By 1995, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno was number one. And it stayed there for 17 years. 2000 for Jay Leno, 54, was at the absolute peak of his career. The Tonight Show dominated late night. He earned $30 million per year. Over 5 million viewers tuned in nightly. Everything was perfect. Then NBC executives made a decision that would destroy him. They announced that Conan O'Brien would take over The Tonight Show in 2009, forcing Jay into early retirement. Jay didn't want to retire, but he agreed. May 29, 2009, Jay Leno hosted his final Tonight Show after 17 years. He cried on camera. So did his audience. The world saw a graceful exit. But the truth was different. Jay felt betrayed, used, discarded. NBC offered him a primetime show, The Jay Leno Show, 5 nights a week at 10 p.m. It premiered in September 2009 and was an instant disaster. Ratings plummeted. Affiliate stations rebelled. By January 2010, NBC canceled the show. And in a shocking, devastating twist, they asked Jay to return to The Tonight Show, pushing Conan out after only 7 months. The backlash was brutal. Conan's fans attacked Jay as a backstabber, a thief-ray villain. Late-night comedy turned into a war zone. Jay was painted as the bad guy, even though NBC had orchestrated the entire disaster. Jay returned to The Tonight Show on March 1, 2010. The ratings were strong, but the damage to his reputation was permanent. Then came February 6, 2014. Jay Leno retired again, this time for good, handing The Tonight Show to Jimmy Fallon. He left quietly, no drama, no farewell tour. Just gone. For a man who'd worked every single day for 40 years, retirement felt like death. Jay threw himself into his car collection, his garage in Burbank, California, a 17,000 square foot sanctuary filled with vintage automobiles and motorcycles. Then came November 12, 2022. Jay, 72, was working on a 1907 white steam car in his garage. A fuel line ruptured. Gasoline sprayed across his face and hands. A spark ignited. He was engulfed in flames. Jay dropped to the ground, rolling, screaming. His friend Dave Kilacki rushed to help, extinguishing the fire with his hands. Jay was rushed to Grossman Burn Center in Los Angeles with third-degree burns covering his face, hands, and chest. The world saw the photos days later. His face scarred, his hands bandaged. Doctors said the recovery would take months, maybe years. They performed skin graft surgeries, including an experimental treatment using artificial skin. Jay told reporters, "I got some serious burns from a gasoline fire. I am okay. Just need a week or 2 to get back on my feet." But the pain was excruciating. He couldn't sleep, couldn't use his hands, couldn't look in the mirror without seeing a stranger. Then, just 2 months later, January 17th, 2023, Jay was riding a vintage 1940 Indian motorcycle in Los Angeles when a wire stretched across a parking lot clotheslined him, throwing him from the bike. He broke multiple ribs, his collarbone, and cracked 2 kneecaps. At 72 years old, Jay Leno had nearly died twice in 3 months. Most men would quit. Jay returned to performing stand-up 6 weeks later. At 75, Jay Leno is still performing, still touring, still working to 150-plus shows per year. His net worth is estimated at $450 million, earned not from The Tonight Show alone, but from relentless stand-up performances, smart investments, and a lifetime of never spending his Tonight Show salary. Living entirely off stand-up income instead, he drives a different car from his collection every day. 181 vehicles and counting. Housed in his big dog garage in Burbank, he's been married to Mavis Leno since September 30th, 1980. 44 years of marriage. They have no children by choice. Mavis has been his anchor, his constant, the woman who stood by him through every betrayal and burn. Recently, reports have surfaced that Mavis, now 78, is suffering from dementia. Jay has taken on the role of full-time caregiver, a role he approaches with the same relentless dedication he's given to comedy. He hosts Jay Leno's Garage, a web and television series on CNBC. Sharing his love of automobiles with millions, he's forgiven NBC, forgiven Conan, forgiven everyone, because holding grudges, Jay says, is a waste of time. He still performs clean comedy, no profanity, no shock value, just observational humor about everyday life. At 75, he wakes up every day grateful. Scarred, yes. Broken, yes, but alive. At 75, Jay Leno stands as proof that success is not about talent alone, but about showing up every single day, even when the world tells you to quit. From New Rochelle, New York to the big dog garage in Burbank, California. From a dyslexic kid whose mother said he'd fail to the king of late-night television. From betrayal at NBC to third-degree burns at 7 to from losing The Tonight Show twice to finding peace in the garage, on stage, and beside the woman he's loved for over 4 decades. This is not a story about perfection. This is a story about resilience. Jay Leno never stopped working because working was how he proved everyone wrong, and at 75, he's still proving it. If this story touched your heart, leave a tribute below. Share a moment when Jay's comedy, cars, or unbreakable spirit reminded you that hard work and humility still matter, even when the world tries to burn you down.